Start here, considering the Russians are saying that President Vladimir Putin will not be attending these talks. It had been an open question about whether President Trump might go. Should he?
Well, look, first of all, I'll get to the answer to your question, but let's make no mistake here. Vladimir Putin is not at all interested in peace right now. We know that. We know that. He's been shown a number of deals. He said no. He responds to talk about an additional peace meeting with, brutal attacks on civilian targets in Kyiv. So he's not interested in it. What he's doing is he's playing for time. So my advice would be to President Trump, no. And I don't think I need to give him that advice because I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that Donald Trump is showing up at a meeting that doesn't involve another president. Neither should President Zelensky show up. And look, I think everybody understands that Putin is not interested in real peace negotiations. So the real question, of course, is what does the President of the United States do to now that he's sort of realized that buttering up the Kremlin, buttering up Vladimir Putin has not really worked. What does he do now? And my hope, of course, is that he makes it very clear to Russia that we are in for the long run and that we will keep supplying weapons until Vladimir Putin gets serious about peace.
What does it say to you, and how do you understand this dynamic that essentially Trump is waiting on Putin to make a move to decide what he was going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you sort of what Trump's internal strategy is here. I can tell you that even though I'm in the opposition and have my criticisms of Donald Trump, I'm glad to hear that in the last couple of weeks he sort of adjusted his rhetoric, responding, of course, to Vladimir Putin's attacks on civilian targets in Ukraine. I think it helps when Putin doesn't believe, as he might have believed 2 months ago, that Donald Trump is on his side. When we're voting with Russia and along with a couple of other rogue states like North Korea in the United Nations against Ukraine, I didn't write The Art of the Deal, but I can't begin to understand how that somehow strengthens a negotiating position against Russia.
Interesting. Congressman, one of the other things that we've been watching unfold in the last 24 hours or so is the removal of 2 top aides at the National Security Council. Of course, Secretary Rubio is planning on overhauling it, and the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, removed 2 top career officials at the National Intelligence Council, of course, a distinct body from the NSC. Can you explain who these people are and why those removals are happening or could be problematic?
Sure. And I mean, let me give you the TikTok, as they say, right? So in early April, the National Intelligence Council, which is a council comprised of intelligence professionals. These are intelligence officers who have expertise in things like Russia and terrorism and whatnot. And when there is a big strategic question, the National Intelligence Council will write a report. And in early April, they release a report, which has subsequently been made public, so people can actually look it up now, that says that it is the consensus of the intelligence community that the Venezuelan regime does not direct Tren de Aragua. Why is that important and a problem for the administration? Because, of course, the administration is claiming the power to deport people without due process under the Alien Enemies Act, which requires that you have either a state of war or that you have an incursion. And so that requires the administration to say something which isn't true, which is that Venezuela is directing this gang, Tren de Aragua, this Venezuelan gang. Tulsi Gabbard was out there, you can look up her tweets, saying the Office of the Director of National Intelligence believes that Venezuela is driving this gang. That's not what the organization that she sits atop is saying. And again, you can go back and go read the report. And when it was declassified, it was shown that she was not honestly characterizing what the NIC was saying. And so, this is the conclusion of this tawdry tale. We learned through Fox News, not from the Director of National Intelligence, that she has fired 2 of the top people associated with that shortly after the report was made public that showed that she had not been honest with the American public about this really important item. So now, here's the other problem, Casey. As ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, I have an interest in making sure that we get informed of these things. I now have 4 or 5 outstanding letters to the Director of National Intelligence, with whom I used to work in this this building asking these questions. Not a single one of them has been replied to. So, we're sort of left to wonder whether it's just coincidence that these people were fired shortly after that report was released, or whether there's something, different going on. But I'll tell you, from an oversight standpoint, it's a real problem.
For sure. So before I let you go, sir, this plane from Qatar, is there any insight you can give us into the reaction of the intelligence community to this? And I mean, would you yourself have a private conversation on this plane?
Yeah. I mean, I can give you a crisper answer on this one, Casey. I'll leave the sort of emoluments and the constitutional questions to my friend Jamie Raskin and others. What I can tell you is that, every once in a while I'll be traveling somewhere and I'll be given a gift. I'll give you an example. I was in Pakistan and I met with the Pakistani service, and they gave me a nice flower vase. Not very big, about this big, not very big. It's been about 6 months under scrutiny by security experts to make sure it didn't have listening devices or other dangerous things. If the president ultimately accepts from a foreign country a plane which is where he does his most serious stuff when the country is in crisis, we'll have to take every screw out of that plane. We'll have to remove every panel, every seat cushion, every piece of software. I mean, it's almost like building a plane from scratch, or you have a massive counterintelligence risk that the plane could be bugged, that it could have, faulty software, that its, capabilities aren't what we would hope the president of the United States would have access to. So, short version, bad idea.
Those fancy leather seats might have to get torn up before he even has a chance to sit on them, is what you're saying. I hope the vase wasn't actually bugged. Sir, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope you'll come back soon.
Thank you, Casey.